Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. I got another Master Duel video for you, coming at you with Radiant Typhoon Tri-Brigade Yummy. We are going to be making use of some of the new Tri-Brigade support here. But for this first game, it's going to be a really good example of showing you how to begin your plays and bridge all your different engines together. Radiant Typhoon is one of your ideal starters because it lets you go through all of your engines. Here's how to do it. We're going to begin by special summoning the Eldum. That'll let us add Swen. Now Swen gets to activate. We'll special summon and then add a copy of Chant. Now we're going to link Eldum and Swen into the Radiant Typhoon Varun, the Marine Eidolon. Now Varun's going to activate. We're going to add Mystical Space Typhoon. We can activate Chant and then chain MST. This will let us place the Mandate with the Varun, and then we can reset the Chant as well. Probably should have gone for Ascendance, although I think, does Ascendance lock you into Wind? I actually forget. I can never remember what all stuff locks you into Wind in this sec. No, it doesn't. So yeah, I could have just grabbed Ascendance, which I am playing a copy of here, but we'll just grab a copy of Eldum here and we can just normal summon that. Kind of doesn't matter either way. I guess it matters because it's better to have Ascendance face down on your opponent's turn than Chant slightly, but again, not the end of the world. Yeah, we'll just normal summon that Eldum that we grabbed. And then we're going to link Varun plus Eldum into Sprite Sprind. Sprite Sprind will dump Tri-Brigade Kit. Now Tri-Brigade Kit will dump Tri-Brigade Springen's Kit, which will revive the Kit. Alright, check this out. We're going to use Kit Banish 4 to summon out Shurig, the Ominous Omen. We're going to activate Shurig's effect and actually banish the Sprind that's in our EMZ. We have to do that because Sprind cannot be used as a link material on the turn that it's summoned. So we're going to free up that space and then we're going to link Shurig and Tri-Brigade Kit into Farajit, the Barren Blossom. This will trigger the effect of Shurig, letting us add Cupsy Yummy. Now Farajit can activate, letting us special summon the Cupsy Yummy from our hand. Cupsy Yummy is going to grab Surprise, and then we're going to link off the Cupsy Yummy in order to summon out the Yummy Snatchy. Alright, now Yummy Snatchy gets to activate. We're going to place the Mignon, and Mignon is going to revive the Cupsy Yummy. Now we're going to Synchro Summon into the Cupsy Yummy way, using our two monsters, and that'll let us search 2 and then discard 1. We're going to grab the Cookie Yummy and the Marshmallow, and we can just dump the Marshmallow. I could have also just grabbed, like, Cookie and Lollipo. That might have actually been better here. I don't think it really matters either way, honestly, because Marshmallow, of course, just grabs back the Yummy Surprise anyway. Alright, now Cookie Yummy, we're going to link that into the Link Kribo, and then we can go Link Kribo plus Marshmallow Yummy into the Lollipo Yummy way. It is actually important that you play Link Kribo and not a second Yummy Snatchy, because we also play Tri-Brigade Nervall. You're going to see a game later on where that interaction becomes really important. But now we can make Herald of the Arclight. Mandate is going to allow us to get a free draw here. And we can even link off the Farajit and the Cupsy Yummy way into the SP Little Knight. Now, it is worth noting that this is one of a couple of different possible end boards. You could also, if you wanted to, make the Little Knight and then have one, if not both of your Yummy Synchro monsters still in play. But I like ending on Herald of the Arclight. Duh, it's an Omni-Negate plus a Floodgate. No reason not to. Plus, we can still do Yummy interactions on the opponent's turn by using Surprise to revive one of our Synchro monsters. So you don't have to end this way. Again, you could leave the Yummy Synchro monster out, which would then allow you to use Surprise to bounce cards rather than just revive a Yummy monster, but one of a couple possible end boards here. I forgot this game was against Enneacraft. They're going to go for the reset. I'm going to activate Surprise here just to get my Synchro monster online ASAP. There's the Anopolis. They're going to activate the, I don't know what this one's called, Orgia. And we're going to use the Lollipo Yummy Way effect in response. I actually want to revive the Cupsy here and draw a card. Although there's not really too much of a need to do it, because I already have both Ash Blossom and Droll, two of your best hand traps against Enneacraft. I am actually going to use Herald of the Arclight in order to negate and destroy the Enneacraft that's going to try to keep summoning. This will not only cut off their options, but also, exactly, yeah, force them to use another one from hand. Like, in the world where they didn't have another one of these low-level Enneacraft cards that can add stuff with the pendulum effect, they would have just been out of stuff to do. aside from setting any monsters they had in hand. Here, though, they are going to Pentascale. We're going to use the Ash Blossom to stop that. They've got another Pentascale that can search, but thankfully they just grab the spell card, the reverse, and we can draw Knockbird and a Rebirth, not reverse. And this is the one that gives them extra draws, so they can't do that anymore. They can bounce their stuff back and set their smaller Pendulum monsters, but those are not as threatening as something like a Torimar. I'm just really hoping that first face down is not a Torimar. Alright, so going into my move here, I'm going to start by Synchro Summoning using Snatchy plus Cupsy Yummy and order summon out the Lollipo once again. Alright, now Lollipo gets to activate. We're going to revive Cupsy Yummy Way and the Cookie Yummy. Summoning Marshmallow, we're going to grab back the Yummy Surprise, and I'm going to activate here to bounce a couple of their face down monsters. Alright, now we can go Chant, and I'm going to add a copy of Swen. From here we can activate the Vision, draw a couple of cards, we'll discard this Droplet we don't need. Now we're going to find another draw off the Mandate here. And then we can use Link Kribo to send away the Cookie Yummy. My plan here was to, I believe, then use the Mignon, because I would have had a Link 1 monster, and I could have continued my plays that way. I actually don't know if I would have been able to OTK, but I don't think it would have been hard for me to clear through the rest of the stuff my opponent had. I kind of wish I would have gotten to play out my turn a little bit more here, but either way, it's still a decent game to show you how this deck works. It's kind of weird. There's not really one combo line from what I can figure. Your combo is going to be super hand dependent, but here I can show you how even if we only open Radiant Typhoon Eldum, we can actually still go through every single one of our deck's engines, as you saw. Now let me show you some more gameplay. Alright, these are going to be going second games, the next couple of ones here. This deck actually has a lot of push. I've mentioned this before when talking about my Snake Eye Yummy builds, but I really love these decks that have multiple engines in them because they have a lot of push. If you open like multiple starters across your different engines, you can begin by committing one of them, and then obviously your opponent will be inclined to think you're only on that one archetype and then throw all of their responses at it. Now here we're actually up against the Utopia deck that's not just like one of those FTKs. I got a little bit worried when I saw the Ascended Sage, but they're actually going to just use the new Onomat support in order to bolster their Utopia end board, which you might see, hear and see Utopia and be like, oh, this is just like a meme anime deck, right? It's not that good. No, with the new Onomat support, this end board is going to be really scary. Now, thankfully, we did manage to resolve the Fua, I believe it was, yeah. And they are actually just going to push through it. It actually makes sense why they are, though. It's because they've got this continuous spell, the Xyz Change Tactics. So, yeah, they're getting summons every time, or I'm getting draws every time they summon from deck or extra deck, but every time they summon from the extra deck, they're also getting draws. So, I get it. I think it was worth it to try to push through the Fulos under these circumstances. Now, unfortunately for my opponent, I do just have this Droplet, which has a lot of cards to feast on here. Okay, they're going to go for the rank up effect after the Utopia Ray Lancer. It's going to summon out the Utopia Dragonar. Of course, they'll get another draw, and then they're going to use the Dragonar effect, detaching 2 of the 4 materials that are actually on this thing. And they're going to summon out the Ultimate Leo Utopia Ray, which has the ability to negate a monster effect if it's equipped with a ZW monster. And I believe the ZW monster they end up equipping also has the ability to negate, which I didn't realize at first. Yeah, negate. This also is a negate on resolution style effect, like Angelica's Angelic Ring. Alright, they're going to set 3 and then pass it over to me. I'm going to begin with MST on one of their face down cards, hoping it's one of the counter trap Omni negates. They're going to chain Utopia Dragonar. I'm going to chain the Droplet, sending 2. I guess it doesn't matter if it was one of the counter trap Omni negates, because they could just use that against Droplet. So it actually was a good thing that it wasn't. Yeah, Xyz Barrier is going to negate the Droplet, but the Mystical Space Typhoon will resolve here in a second. First, they're going to summon out the Hope Harbinger Titanic Galaxy. And we actually hit an Imperm here. Alright, I'm going to go Draw Phase Vision. And this actually did bait out the Hope Harbinger. That's kind of what I was trying to do. I mean, obviously Vision would have just been good to activate here anyway, but I'm very, very glad my opponent activated Hope Harbinger. Just don't have to deal with that effect. It is worth noting Hope Harbinger is a pretty nasty battle effect, so I don't want to battle with it either. Alright, I'm going to special summon Marshmallow just while I don't have anything, you know, in play. Swen's going to summon, then add Chant. Unfortunately for me, they have Droll. So that's going to make trying to push through this board and OTK at the same time a little bit complicated. MST does actually hit another counter trap on Mitigate. This time it's numbers protection. But now there's no more... Well, no, sorry, there is one more negate to worry about, the ZW. But again, I had actually forgotten about it at this point. I knew about the Utopia Ray, Leo Utopia Ray. Yeah, this negate I did see coming. It's also one of the reasons why the Droll was kind of nasty here, because now I don't have access to Mignon at all, because I can't use Cupsy Yummy to find Cupsy Yummy, which would have then found Mignon here. But I can normal summon the Kit, link it with the Swen, go into Farajit. Now Kit gets to activate, dumping Springin's Kit. Springin's Kit's going to revive regular Kit, and now I'm going to synchro summon the Snatchy plus the Marshmallow into Lollipo. I think this was kind of a misplay here. Oh, but what I wanted was to have Herald of the Arclight up. Because I was thinking about hand traps. Herald of the Arclight can't be used against the ZW, unfortunately, because it negates on resolution. Alright, gonna synchro summon again, this time for Cookie Yummy Way. We'll turn a couple of their monsters with weaker defense face down. That also gets rid of the ZW equip there. Alright, now we can use Kit in order to summon Shurig. Gonna activate Shurig here, banishing the Utopia Dragonar. And since I know I can't OTK, I'm actually just gonna make the SP Little Knight. Because now what I can do is I can banish one of these face-down monsters and then battle over the other one. And as you can see, that gives me with a nice little end board here. I mean, it's not the best, but Cookie Yummy can tag back into the Cookie Yummy main deck monster, and then the Yummy Snatchy on the opponent's turn. That's a pop. I can turn stuff face down. I can banish. I have an Omni Negate. I have an Ash Blossom. And that's actually enough for my opponent to concede here. So, I guess my board state ended up being threatening enough. I was a little worried about not being able to OTK and them having 3 cards in hand, you know, soon to be 4. But it seems like they kind of fired off all their cylinders already on turn 1 and couldn't play through what I had. So we'll definitely take that. Alright, let's show you... We have time for one more game. Let me show one last replay here. As mentioned before, this is going to be another going second game. And yeah, like I mentioned before, between all the engines and the droplets, I'm really not worried about losing coin flips with this deck. And especially when you open a bunch of really good hand traps. That does tend to help as well. Here they're going to begin with Wishes for Eyes of Blue. We're just going to Ash Blossom that. Love using Ash Blossom against searches that require a discard, because obviously then they're left with fewer cards in hand. Believe they discarded their own Ash Blossom? Yeah, looks like it. So as soon as they normal summon Neo Kaiser Seahorse, I'm going to fire off the Fulos and the Maxi here. Just to make sure I get that draw, or those draws if they link summon. Although to be fair, you know, even if I didn't have Fua and Maxi, the most they would have been able to end on with the Kaiser Seahorse by itself is like a Hermetic Spheres, right? Which, it's just one bounce. It's not that much to have to play through. Especially with a hand this good. We're going to go Vision. They're actually going to use Ash Blossom. They could have used that against one of the Fua or Maxi, but they chose not to. And keep in mind, I went Fua and then immediately chained Maxi. So they didn't even want to use the Ash Blossom on the Fulos. Which is kind of interesting. So they Ash the Chant, but we have Nervall, and Nervall by itself is actually full combo. We're going to normal summon the Nervall and link it into Linkuriboh. This is what I was talking about earlier. Why I really like having a Linkuriboh over the second Yummy Snatchy in this deck. It's for this exact interaction. We're only playing one Nervall, but it's like there's no reason not to, you know, have the option. And the really cool thing here is not only can I revive Nervall with the Springin's Kit to then make Shurig and banish my opponent's monster, but now I have a Link one and a level one. So now Linkuriboh plus Nervall makes the Cupsy Yummy way. Yeah, I think you gotta have that Link Kribo in your extra deck. The interactions are just too nice. Plus the Link Kribo being able to revive from the graveyard does actually matter sometimes too. Okay, at this point they've only got one card left in hand. I'm not really worried about it being Nibiru or something. Nobody plays Nibiru anymore, so I'm just going to use Snatchy in order to place the minion, and just going to set up a bunch of yummy monsters in attack mode here in order to swing in for lethal. Lollipo Yummy Way is going to help facilitate that. We're going to Synchro Summon, revive a couple of yummy monsters. We'll summon off the minion. We still have our surprise and Cookie Yummy as well. It's so extra, but there we go. Only needed 3 of the 5 attacks to finish them here. Alright, so that is the gameplay portion. Let me show you the deck list here, because you're probably wondering what exactly is going on under the hood. Okay, so I based this build off of a deck list I actually found in the Taiwan WCQ Top 8. This list is very similar in terms of ratios, particularly of the Radiant Typhoon stuff. I've seen other builds that don't play like the Mandate or the MSTs or the Varun, like purely just using these bodies. Well, I think they still do play the Varun, but basically just purely using these bodies to facilitate either like Camellia for Yummy plays or Mouser for some Tri-Brigade plays. But I really like this iteration. Yeah, the tournament deck list came out before the new pack was announced, so I saw this and I was like, ooh, I just need that Springin's kit to come out and I can try this, and it did, so here we are trying it. I really, really like this deck. I mean, duh, right? It's Tri-Brigade, which is the first deck I ever covered here on the channel. Always going to have a special place in my heart. Yummy, which is just one of my favorite archetypes in general, both for gameplay and aesthetic. And I really, really like Radiant Typhoon, honestly for both gameplay and aesthetic as well. So to have them all come together in a lovely, very efficient pile deck is all very good fun. Yes, definitely. I really, really like having the droplets here. We don't have enough room in the extract to be on Fallen of the Virtuous or Super Poly, but we opened so many starters that we don't need a lot of cards in order to get things going. And actually, you know, we even have stuff like Nervall and Kit, where if we open it, we would like to be able to send it off the droplet. Other things about this list. Yeah, as mentioned before, you could cut down on some of the Radiant Typhoon stuff. You don't have to go like this hard into the engine, but like I kind of touched on before, this deck is kind of weird in that there's not, I mean, there are one card combo lines, but your hand is pretty much always going to have like multiple ways to make plays. So even though the one card combo line I showed you, it set up the Mandate without actually any MSTs to back it up. But if you open like Eldum, you know, plus another starter, like you could begin by special summon Marshmallow Yummy, then summon Eldum, do Radiant Typhoon stuff, set up Varun with the MST and the Mandate, and then with that Marshmallow you summon at the start, turn that into Yummy Snatchy. That way you don't have to like necessarily give up resources from one engine to, you know, pivot into the other. So yeah, it might seem kind of weird having stuff like Mandate and Varun in a list like this, but I think a lot of the time you are actually going to be in scenarios where stuff like that's going to be live. Alright, I think that pretty much covers everything I have to say about the list so far. I've really only just started playing this deck, and it's a very, very complex deck. So as I learn more about it, I will definitely be able to come at you all with some more info. And if you've played a list like this, you know, and got your own experience with it, definitely feel free to comment down below your thoughts on the gameplay or build. I'm always looking for pointers to help expand my knowledge. But I think it's going to go ahead and do it for now. Thank you, as always, for watching. Before we move on to the end of the video, though, we got to go to our outro so we can thank our YouTube members and Patreon subscribers. Hey everybody, HexLex here. Thank you so very much for watching all the way to the very end of the video, which by the way is one of the best ways to support the channel. Speaking of supporting the channel, take a look at the names on screen. These are folks who have been so generous as to either join as a YouTube member or subscribe over on patreon.com/HexLex to support. There's also perks for doing so. If you would like to see YouTube videos early, as well as some exclusive videos that get uploaded to YouTube, but for one reason or another I decide not to publish, definitely go ahead and hit that join button to see content early, as well as some exclusive content. If you're looking for more exclusive content, over on patreon.com, I upload exclusive videos that are not posted on YouTube just about every single day. Whether you choose to subscribe over on Patreon, join as a YouTube member, or simply continue to watch, your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you so very much. But for now, this is Hexlex. I am signing out, and I hope that you have a fantastic day.